Most men chase women with gifts, charm, or good looks, and that's why they're forgotten. Machiavelli understood something far deeper. The aim is not to be liked, it is to be unforgettable. Not by pleasing her, but by shaping what she feels long after you've left. In this video, you'll discover 9 psychological laws drawn from Machiavelli that awaken hidden desire without a single compliment. No chasing, no showing off, no begging for attention. You'll learn how to stand as the man she can't explain, yet cannot stop thinking about. Watch carefully, because once you know these laws, you'll never see women the same way again. The power of fear over love. There is a line from Machiavelli that most men never dare to face, not because it is false, but because it makes them uncomfortable. It is safer to be feared than loved. At first, this sounds harsh, cold, like something only a cruel man would live by. But if you stop listening to words and start watching people's behavior, you begin to see the truth. Love feels sweet, gentle, safe. It is the emotion we all search for, but it is also the one we take for granted the fastest. Think of it. When love is always present, always soft, always forgiving, it begins to lose weight. It becomes like background music, pleasant but easy to ignore. And because it is always available, it no longer feels rare. This is the trap most men fall into. They think giving more love, showing more emotion, and opening themselves fully will make her value it. But what really happens? She stops noticing, because what is given without resistance, without boundaries, holds no real power. Now step into the darker truth. Fear. Not fear of harm, not control, anger, or shouting. That is insecurity pretending to be strength, and women can sense it instantly. The real kind of fear Machiavelli spoke about is different. It is the fear of losing a man who cannot be controlled, the fear of pushing too far and watching him walk away, the fear of realizing, too late, that his respect for himself is greater than his need for her approval. This kind of man doesn't need to threaten. He doesn't need to explain his worth. He doesn't beg to be understood. He simply steps back. He removes his energy, and in that silence, she learns what no speech could ever teach. That absence cuts deeper than any argument, because she realizes he will not bend his rules just to keep her happy. She sees that he values himself more than he values her comfort, and suddenly the dynamic flips. Now she is the one unsettled. Now she is the one who feels the tension. Now she is the one chasing. Because the man who can walk away without fear is the man who cannot be replaced. This is why women chase the man who leaves, why they respect the one who does not fold, why they obsess over the man who does not need their love to feel whole. He is not cruel, he is not cold, he is simply unshakable. He carries what most men lack, standards that are not for sale. So when Machiavelli said, "It is safer to be feared than loved," he was not rejecting love. He was warning you, without respect, love dies. Without boundaries, affection weakens. And without the fear of losing you, she will never value having you. Love may draw her close, but it is the quiet fear of losing you that keeps her there. Remember this. She may enjoy your love. She may smile at your presence. But if she knows she can break your rules and still keep you, then you are forgettable. But if she feels deep inside that you will leave the moment you are disrespected, then you become unforgettable. That is not cruelty, that is gravity. That is the law of power in desire. And that is the hidden strength of fear over love. Master the image. Machiavelli revealed a truth most men never want to accept. It is not important to be good, it is important to appear good. That single sentence destroys one of the biggest illusions men are taught since childhood. We are told, be kind, be loyal, work hard, be honest. And people will respect you, women will admire you, the world will reward you. But life does not work like that. The world does not see your inner truth. It sees the picture you project. You may be wise, loyal, and full of value, but if you walk with weak posture, speak with hesitation, or carry nervous energy, no one will notice the strength inside you, especially not a woman. Because attraction does not begin with logic. It begins with perception. She does not ask, Who is he deep inside? She asks, what do I feel when I stand next to him? She is not judging your resume. She is scanning your presence, how you carry yourself, how you react when tested, how steady your energy feels when pressure hits. This is where image becomes power. And this is not about lying. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It's about understanding that humans don't respond to truth. They respond to what looks and feels true in the moment. If you don't take control of your image, someone else, her emotions, her assumptions, her past, will create that image for you. So how do you master it? When you feel unsure, stand as if certainty lives in your bones. When you feel anger, speak like a man who commands fire, not one who burns himself. When you feel the urge to chase, hold still and let her move first. Because stillness carries weight. Mystery carries magnetism. Show her most of who you are, but never all of it. Leave space. Let her imagination finish the picture. What her mind invents will be stronger than anything you could explain. This is the secret of obsession. It begins not with overtalking, but with silence. Not with trying to convince, but with unshakable presence. So stop trying to be understood. Stop explaining yourself. Start shaping how you are seen. Because in a world ruled by perception, image is not just part of the game, it is the game. Be the lion and the fox. Every woman will test you, not because she hates you, not because she wants to destroy you, but because she wants to know, are you strong enough to stand? She'll change her tone. One moment soft, the next distant. She'll pull back just to see if you chase. She'll say one thing, then do another. It's not confusion, it's not chaos, it's a test. The real question is, do you collapse or do you hold? Most men fail here. They think she's simply emotional, so they explain, they apologize, they chase with words, and the moment they do, they lose her respect. Machiavelli revealed the solution centuries ago. A man must become both lion and fox. The lion represents raw strength. He doesn't beg, he doesn't explain. His presence sets boundaries without a single threat. He carries authority without needing to shout. The fox represents intelligence. He doesn't fall for traps. He doesn't show his weakness. He observes, he waits, he chooses the moment to act with precision. But here's the danger. If you are only the lion, she will provoke you until you explode. Your strength becomes noise. If you are only the fox, she will enjoy your cleverness, but feel no fire, no backbone. And without fire, she cannot trust your leadership. The secret is fusion. The lion gives you a spine. The fox gives you strategy. When a woman feels both, she cannot predict you. And unpredictability is what keeps her hooked. So how do you live this balance? When she throws emotion at you, be the fox. Stay calm. Don't react. Let her waves crash against your shore. But when she crosses a boundary, be the lion. Not with rage, not with long speeches, simply with stillness. The quiet weight that says, I do not bend. That's the man she respects. Not because you control her, but because you control yourself. Not because you shout, but because you don't flinch. Not because you explain, but because you never need to. The fox guards your mind. The lion guards your respect. Together, they make you the rare man she cannot forget. Divide her world. Machiavelli taught rulers a timeless law: divide and conquer. But this wasn't only for kingdoms and empires, it also works quietly, inside the human mind. You don't influence a woman by force, you don't fight her beliefs directly. Instead, you plant a seed of doubt and let it grow on its own. When a woman feels sure of herself, she feels safe and in control. She knows what she wants, and nothing shakes her. Your task isn't to break her beliefs, it's to make her question them. And it only takes one small shift. Not an argument, not pressure, just a subtle suggestion. She says, I could never fall for a man like that. You smile calmly. That's what you think, for now. It seems harmless, but the moment passes and her mind lingers on it. She begins to ask herself, why did that stay in my head? Do I really believe that? Why did he say it that way? This is how the division begins, not between you and her, but within her. One part of her still agrees with her old rule. The other part begins to wonder if she was wrong. And once that split exists, she no longer controls the story. You do, because you planted the thought. This isn't pressure, this isn't dominance, it's quiet tension. Most men ruin it by rushing to agree with her. They want to be safe, they want to be liked. But safety doesn't create desire. Tension does, because when she feels torn, partly sure, partly unsure, her emotions stay alive. And in that open space, your influence grows. So don't fight her head on, just touch her belief with a calm remark. Then let silence carry the weight. She will argue with herself long after you're gone. That is Machiavellian seduction. Not through drama, not through force, but through precision. Because power isn't always loud. Sometimes it feels like curiosity. And curiosity is what keeps her circling you, even when you've said nothing at all. Reward in doses. Punish all at once. Machiavelli gave a law of power that most people ignore. Harm should be dealt in one strike, but rewards must come in small pieces. This isn't just politics, it's emotional strategy, and it works in relationships more than most men realize. When someone crosses your boundary, you don't argue, you don't explain, you don't beg to be understood, you act. One clean, controlled move. Silence, distance, disappearing presence. No shouting, no lectures, no long talks, just the sudden removal of your energy. And that absence hits harder than words ever could, because she has nothing to fight against, only her own thoughts, her own guilt, her own questions. Her mind spins. What did I do? Why did he pull away? Is he finished with me? That silence becomes the punishment, sharp, unforgettable. Now comes the other side, the reward. But here's the key, you never give it all at once. When she is warm, loyal, and respectful, you give her small pieces. A glance, a subtle smile, a rare compliment. Then you return to calm stillness. Why? Because unpredictability builds desire. Just like a game of chance, she never knows when the next reward will come. And that uncertainty keeps her invested. It's not the size of the reward that matters, it's the timing. Most men ruin this balance. They punish too often, nag too much, or reward too quickly. They become emotional, unstable, predictable. But the Machiavellian man is different. He punishes once, clean and cold. Then he rewards slowly in rare doses that keep her hungry. This isn't cruelty, it's discipline. It's the psychology of power. Pain delivered quickly is remembered, and pleasure delivered slowly becomes addictive. That's how you stop being just a man and become the system she cannot stop running. Watch her closely, then say one line. Most men get lost in a woman's looks. A Machiavellian man doesn't. He studies her behavior. He isn't blinded by beauty. He doesn't stare with hunger. He observes, quietly, with patience. He notices how her voice changes when she's around a man she respects versus one she doesn't. He sees how her eyes shift, how her posture hardens or softens, how her laughter sounds different depending on the company. He watches when she's acting for attention and when she accidentally drops the mask. No questions, no praise, just awareness. Because while ordinary men chase her body, he has already entered her psychology. And then, when the moment is right, not too soon, not too late, he speaks one line, calm, direct, without emotion. You sound different when he's here. Or, you laugh, but it doesn't feel real. No smile, no tone, no need for approval, just truth. And then, silence. That silence does the work, because it wasn't a compliment she could brush off. It wasn't sweet words she could dismiss. It was a mirror held up to her face by a man who had no fear in exposing it. Her mind begins to turn. How did he see that? What else does he notice? Was I really that obvious? Now she doesn't feel admired. She feels seen, exposed, not by force, but by presence. You didn't demand her attention. You didn't fight for her approval. You simply noticed what others missed and named it. That is psychological dominance. It isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. It's the quiet power that echoes in her thoughts long after you've walked away. because a compliment is forgotten. Small talk is forgotten. But the man who pierces through her mask with one honest line, he stays, not to wound her, not to control her, but to remind her of the truth. You are not like the rest. You don't chase the surface. You see the system beneath it. And once she feels that, you live in her mind even when you've vanished from her sight. Control through absence. When you are always there, always answering, always showing up, you lose your edge, because what is constant becomes predictable, and what is predictable fades from memory. But when you step away, calmly, without noise, without explanation, you become unforgettable. Not because you punished her, not because you ignored her, but because you left behind a space she cannot fill, and the female mind cannot resist an empty space. It must close it. It must solve the puzzle. Your silence is not silence to her. It is an echo. It makes her replay every detail, the last word you spoke, the tone of your voice, the look in your eyes. She searches for meaning where there is none, creating stories in her head to explain your absence. Did I say something wrong? Why did he pull back? Did he ever really care? Now she is no longer enjoying your attention. She is haunted by the fact that it is gone. This is the essence of control through absence. Most men do the opposite. They talk too much, explain too much, try too hard to stay present. But the Machiavellian man understands. Absence speaks louder than presence when it is used with precision. You don't vanish to play games. You don't vanish in anger. You vanish when your presence is being taken for granted. And in that gap, something powerful happens. She remembers you, not as ordinary, but as larger, sharper, harder to grasp. You transform from a man into a question, and unanswered questions are never forgotten. This is not cruelty, it is contrast. You give warmth, and then you remove it. You give presence, and then you step back into shadow. That sudden shift strikes deeper than any gift or sweet word could. But timing is everything. Absence only works when your presence carried weight. And when you return, calm, steady, untouched, she doesn't meet you with anger. She meets you with curiosity and quiet fear, because she realizes you are not trapped. You can leave at any time and never flinch. That is not manipulation, that is gravity. And gravity never chases, it pulls. Be her turning point. If you want to live in her memory forever, don't just be another man she once liked. Be the moment her story changed, not her boyfriend, not a short fling, but the shift that rewrote her view of herself. The truth is simple. Women forget most men. They forget the ones who tried to impress them, the ones who gave too much, the ones who blended into the noise of her past. But she never forgets the man who triggered something deeper. A man who awakened emotions she didn't know were waiting. The man who forced her to see a truth she could not ignore. This isn't about charm, gifts, or looks. It's about leaving an imprint. You do it by speaking what others are afraid to say, by looking her in the eye and naming the things she hides. Not to hurt her, not to shame her, but to prove you see her beyond the mask. Not her beauty, not her surface, her truth. And when you reveal that truth, calmly, without seeking approval, you don't just walk into her life, you rearrange it. Freud said that emotional memory shapes desire. What touches the heart stays forever. And Machiavelli knew, the one who shapes the story controls the mind. So don't fight for her attention. Become the chapter she cannot erase. Maybe you were the first man who didn't beg for her, the first who set a line and walked away when she crossed it. Maybe you challenged her ideas, made her pause, made her question who she thought she was, and then you left, not bitter, not desperate, just gone. But the truth? You stayed, not in her arms, but in her mind. As the man tied to her transformation, as the echo she cannot silence, and that kind of presence never fades. She may move on, she may laugh with others, she may even forget your name in words, but she will never forget the self that was born after you. Because secretly, in her silence, one memory whispers, "He changed me." And once you become that turning point, you no longer chase a place in her heart. You've already taken root in her mind, and nothing grows deeper than that. Understand this. These are not pickup lines, not games, not cheap tricks to impress her. What you've learned are psychological frameworks, tools designed to touch hidden switches inside the female mind, switches that shift her from logic to emotion, from certainty to craving. Most men beg for attention. They joke, they flatter, they perform like clowns, and that's why they're forgotten. What you are building is different. You are building presence, the kind of presence that doesn't make her laugh. It makes her stop. It makes her think. It makes her feel something she can't explain, even when she tries not to. You're not here to please her. You're not here to prove your worth. You are not her fan, her follower, or her rescuer. You are the man who shifts the ground she stands on. Not by noise, not by begging, but by saying one sharp truth. And letting silence do the rest. You create mystery. You create space she cannot escape. You plant questions she cannot silence. This is not softness. This is precision. And most men will never touch this level, because they are too desperate for approval to understand the structure of desire. But if something inside you moved while listening to this, if you felt that pull in your gut, then this is not just a lesson. It is a signal that you are done playing like every other man, that you are finished begging for affection, that you are ready to build gravity instead of chasing attention. So here is your step. If this struck you, comment one word below. Control. No excuses, no story, one word. And if you are ready to go deeper, subscribe now. Because the next lesson isn't about chasing women, it's about becoming the kind of man who never needs to.